Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Soft Talk Hard Truths podcast. I am, as always, your co-host Jay.
Hey everybody, and I am Shay. Welcome back.
Yep, we definitely missed you. We got a good discussion. Hopefully that we want to get into. But first, very important news. We're gonna hijack this real quick. I promise it'll be short. Actually, I'm lying. It probably won't. But so what? This is this is important. So by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be on the day that the New York Knicks start the NBA Finals.
That's right.
So we would be remiss if we didn't mention that the New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals.
The New York Knicks are in the finals for sure.
Yes, very important. Very important.
Has to be acknowledged.
Has to be acknowledged. Go Knicks all the way, as you can see from the hat.
Hey, let's get it.
Okay, we about to beat the Spurs, get the first championship in like 53 years.
I know, right?
I was not even a twinkle in my daddy's eye.
Listen, and the funny thing is, for all of us sitting here now, it's like never happened in our lifetime. You know, exactly. So we're for like a first in a lifetime accomplishment here. This is big. This is big.
It is, man. And I don't want to hear that nonsense about, oh, they had each path. They didn't. What happened is they took care of business and everybody else didn't. That's what happened.
That's, hey, I'm going with it. I'm going with it. They in the finals. It don't matter.
They in the finals. It don't matter because they're not supposed to be here. Everybody thought they wasn't going to make it because they're going to lose to the Pistons or lose to the Celtics or lose to the Sixers or the Hawks. And here they are. Everybody else home.
Watching the game.
Exactly. Because they didn't take care of business. Effing.
Yeah.
So,
I stand.
There's no Knicks over here. There will be no Knicks slander. I hope they win. I hope they bust San Antonio's ass, even though I like San Antonio.
I like San Antonio too, but I mean, you know what it's about. It depends on who you're going against, right? So it's like, exactly. I like you go against my peoples, and then
exactly. All right. As I think, as Spocky said, orange and blue skies. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So now that we got that important topic out the way, there would be no Nick Slender in these here parts. Appreciate it. This is very emotional day for me, okay? Because like if you've been a long time for a Knicks fan, you know what it's like. You know what the last 25 years have been like.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're a Knicks fan, you're a New Yorker, anything, you already know the deal. You already know the deal. I mean,
it ain't fun. It ain't been fun. Okay. It still doesn't change the fact that we need a new owner because he's an asshole. But hey, whatever, it is what it is. We here now.
Okay? We here now.
So good luck, fellas. I hope I say Knicks in 6.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. Yep. Next, another episode we'll be talking about the celebration and how they won. But right now we building up to it for you.
Listen, I told people at work, if the Knicks win the championship, I am going to be insufferable.
Yeah.
Telling you right now, prepare to be sick of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm celebrating all year.
Until the next one comes around.
Until the next one comes. In fact, I'm changing my name to Champ.
No, that's right.
You will address me as Champ for the next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. Listen, don't let them win in 4. Don't let that be a sweep. Don't let that be a sweep.
Then it'll be a problem. Yeah, and then it's gonna be.
Okay. We gonna burn New York down.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead. Listen, excited.
Yeah, that deserves an honorable mention for sure.
So, but all right, folks. You didn't come here to talk about the Knicks. Maybe you did, but we got other stuff to talk about.
Yes.
So we can definitely do a whole episode on the Knicks. But all right, so the actual factual topic for today is problematic celebrities, and what makes them problematic. Because the word problematic can take on different meanings. So I think that the first thing that we should do is probably define, or kind of set the table as to what problematic means. So for the purposes of this discussion, problematic won't always mean equal. Sometimes it means complicated in a way that can cause harm. So I'll expand a little bit further. I want to make sure I got this right, so I wrote it down. And I don't take notes, so this is important. Yeah, everything top of the dome. So problematic doesn't mean someone is completely bad, irredeemable, or untalented. It means there's a pattern of behavior, beliefs, choices, or public actions that can cause harm, either to others, to themselves, or to the culture around them. And today we're going to be focusing primarily on behavior that causes harm to others. And like any good topic, we got 3 candidates: Chris Brown, Breezy, Doja Cat, and of course, Nicki Minaj. I will say right now, for all of the, who is it? What are their hives called?
The Barbs.
The Barbs. Okay.
Are the Barbs for sure. Doja Cat, I'm not big on her. I mean, and I am Team Breezy, okay. So that's Team Breezy.
Team Breezy. All right. So Team Breezy, the Barbs, and the Keys.
Like, I don't know what they're called.
I don't know what they call. Cats? Cats? I don't know. We gotta make one up. We gotta make one up for y'all.
I don't know.
I like the cats.
The cats.
Cats. Don't come for me or us.
We don't know what you guys are. Okay, so we said what we know, and we are admitting we don't know. So if y'all are not the cats, don't get all panties mixed up in a bunch here. We're just talking. Yeah, just talking to you.
Yeah, I was talking about all 3 of y'all. Don't come for us. We just talking.
Yeah, it's just a conversation.
Yeah, but also, I don't care, because as I always say, the internet is not a real place. So
yeah. Yep, I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so don't come for us, but also go off. I don't care.
Yeah, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. I mean, that's what's done every day.
It is. Like you should see what they said about us when we talk about Martin. Like that was
fun. My gosh, we talked about, and the funny thing is with Martin, we weren't talking about him as a person. Like it was almost like, oh my gosh, you're saying that Martin wasn't, it wasn't a monumental show and all this is no. So listen, the truth is the truth, right? You can be a game changer and also be problematic at the same time. They can coexist. This is a thing. I mean, and that's why we're talking about what we're talking about today, because these folks here are some of the biggest stars in the world, but also seems to be a lot of trouble that follows them or accompanies them.
Yeah. Or is done by them.
Or is yeah, or it is done by them. Yeah. For sure.
I'm just saying, you don't see Maya in all this trouble.
No. I never heard anything about Maya.
Yeah. Only thing you hear about Maya is that she thick as hell.
Yep. Yeah, they talk about how good she looks for her age. What you hear about Maya is how great she looks for her age. You are right. Exactly. And she still sounds good.
And she still sounds good. She's still performing. Okay.
Yeah, she can keep that mic on. Some people can't.
Listen, only thing you ever see about Maya is she performing and got them thighs. That's it. That's it.
That's it. That's for sure. That's for
Hey.
sure. I think, and the funny thing is with some of these, I mean, when you think about even someone like Maya, right? That's her whole career. That's not just, as time went on. I never really heard anything about her. I don't ever remember. There's like some people you'll say, oh, you can name their names, and you never hear anything outside of their music or something that has to do with their music or their performing or
Mm-hmm.
or their person, right? Because she's fine and she's got a nice body, so these are the things that you'll hear. But then there's other people, and when someone says their name, perhaps that's not, even if they're a huge star in their own right, whatever it is they're doing, that's not what you think of, right? When you hear their name, maybe there's something else that pops into your head the first time you hear their name.
Exactly. Like when we say the name Chris Brown, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? There's so many. You know.
Yeah.
Breezy. I forgot his group's called. It was Team Breezy.
Team Breezy for sure. Listen. So I'm okay. So caveat: I am a Chris Brown fan. So so anything that I'm saying, when we're talking, I'm just being honest, right? Because even if I'm a fan of someone, what I am is I'm always honest, right? And that's even in my everyday life. I mean, my kids, listen, whatever you do that ain't right or something that's off, that's what it is. I still love you, but this is what that is, So Team Breezy, I think Team Breezy goes hard for Chris, and for probably the right reasons. I think when Team Breezy goes, I think what happens is you like someone, and you can either be the in the group that just likes the person because you think they're talented, you like their music, you like what they're doing, and then there's other people that's over on the other side, right? And they kind of are more fantasizing about the person themselves, right? And they are idolizing the person. So I feel like those are two different types of fans, in my opinion. I'm not the fan like, oh, of you as the person and what you do, right? Because what you do is very different than the music that you produce and put out.
Makes sense.
For me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think for me it's a little. I think for me it's a little different. I think kind of where I am now is that it maybe it's because with the internet and just people kind of being in our face every day, it's harder for me, I guess, to like separate the artist from the art. No, that's a big catchphrase for a lot of people. Like it depends, and I don't think anyone should be defined by the worst thing that they ever did. At the same time, there are some things that you can't come back from.
I agree.
I think, but I also think you have to look at those things honestly and soberly. I think kind of how you said, like sometimes we're just so quick to either condemn or celebrate someone that we don't, context just goes out the window.
Yep.
Like you actually have to look at what they did, who it affected, the long term effects, and how the person who did it feels about it. And that doesn't, and you can't do all of that in a 10-second reel,
No,
unfortunately.
you cannot.
But that's something that I try to do. So I haven't listened to most of Chris Brown's albums. Um, one, to me, at a certain point, a lot of the music kind of starts the same. So I haven't seen what I guess what I would call growth, and again, that's personal preference. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an expert in the field at all, but um, like at a certain point, I'm not able to tell like any difference between certain albums. But there's a couple of songs that I still listen to when I'm working out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I do think when it comes to Chris Brown, what gets me is that he seems more angry that people remember things that he's done um, than focused on actually demonstrating that he's moved past them. It's like yeah, I probably wouldn't want people bringing up the fact that I beat Rihanna every chance they get. Um, but I'm also not going to find myself in situations where I'm accused of beating other people or like imprisoning other people. Like you know, like I'm going to do everything I can to kind of distance myself from that behavior, and it just doesn't seem to me that that's what happened. And we live in a society where people remember the internet is forever. Um, like you have to take that into account. Like yeah, uh, people shouldn't be, you know, Rihanna clearly has moved on. like, you know,
Clearly.
so it's a fair question. If Rihanna has moved on, why can't we? Because you keep doing shit. like, and
He got an attitude for sure.
I was like,
Definitely got an attitude. Like I said, I'm a person, I can be a fan of yours, but I'm also going to call it like it is. I try to, again, I try to be one of those people that separates because I know that nobody's all good and nobody's all bad. That's how I feel in life, right? So I feel like I might have done some things that maybe someone else would be like, it's a no. And maybe someone else has done things that I would say it's a no, and someone else might not agree, right? So it's just it a lot of it depends on your standards and your morals and things like that. And so I find me in general, I find that almost all celebrities. So I've never been the person to put them on any type of pedestal because they're just people, right? And so I think that maybe helps me to separate the art from the person because I have seen some people just in my personal life that were not good people in their everyday life, but if you saw them out and about or their public persona was not at all the same. So maybe that's some of my frame of reference that I use it with. I feel like he's troubled in a lot of ways. Some of it is just he's a troubled person. Some of it I think is the trauma of being a celebrity from a young age, and they do dumb shit. They're put in silly predicaments from the time they're young, and I think that it's a hard place to be in, and depending on the person you are, that's what you get something different. You get a different outcome from each individual. But there's some things that I just can't look past, even if I like your music.
and you're right. No one, nobody is all one thing. The worst person in the world has an opinion that you agree with. like, it's just,
Yes, this
just,
is
it's just, it's just it.
Oh my gosh, did you say that? I mean, I got a name popped in my head immediately, and I was like, damn it, because he has a couple things that I agree with. And I think he's the worst. But yes, you're right. Yes,
Man,
you're
listen,
right.
look. Shay got the sprinkle, but Jay got some shit every now and then too. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you telling the truth. You telling the truth. Yeah, for sure.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that when I hit you, it's just surgical.
Mm-hmm. Right there. That's the headshot.
it's the
That's the
headshot.
headshot.
But yeah, dude. Like I said, nobody is all one thing. I think for me, it's like I get, I don't know if angry is the word, but when someone has a misstep, says something wrong, does something wrong, um, I I look for like the usual quote unquote apology tour. They deny or they double down. Then once those coins start drying up, you get the half-assed apology. That's not an apology. And then probably if there's more pressure, they go to rehab. Apparently, they have rehab for everything now these days. Because I don't know how racist. I don't know what the rehab for racism is. I would just say don't be racist. Um, I find that works pretty well. just Yeah, like some things, the rehab is just not doing those things.
Right. Right.
You could save thousands of dollars just by not
Absolutely.
by not doing those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is I look for the accountability, and accountability. That's another word that I like to throw around, particularly when it comes to Black women. But we're not doing that today, so I don't want to hear it, folks. Um, Accountability in the sense that in keeping it with the celebrities, sometimes you see that celebrities want the forgiveness without any sort of accountability. And I guess that's where I guess I get tripped up because it's like, the best apology is change behavior. And, we see the apologies, we hear the apologies, but 2 months later, a year later, you're, if not doing the same thing, being accused of the same thing. So it's like, at what point is this just you? How many times do you have to be accused of assaulting somebody before that's just who you are? I don't know what the answer is to that, but I think when celebrities do get in trouble, or they do the wrong thing, you know, it there needs to be some level of accountability, meaning change behavior. An example, it may be an extreme example, but I'll use it. It would be Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, you know, one of the best basketball players of all time. Um, you know, People have him either like number, anywhere between 3 and 11 as far as where he ranks all time.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also accused of sexual assault back in
Yes, he was.
2003.
Yes, he was.
I think obviously that case was dismissed, but in hearing him and then seeing how he talked about it and giving his particular version of it, it's kind of clear that if not outright rape, something improper happened. You know, I'm not just talking about cheating on his wife. Something
No,
improper happened.
correct. Oh no,
Yeah,
I think he took ownership
he
of it.
yeah,
I think
because
he
yeah,
did.
he like he all but said I raped this girl.
I think
Like just
I feel like
just
he
like
did too. Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
he did.
yeah.
And I
So
think that was part of the agreement too, that he needed to do so.
correct. But I say that to say that since and again him and his wife almost got divorced.
Yes.
But what doesn't get talked about, at least I haven't seen people bring it up, is since that this man put in the work really to change his behavior. Like, he and his wife stayed married. They had four kids, four daughters. Like that's important. I think on some level, you know, and he kind of admitted that he's competitive. So I think part of that competitiveness is like, I don't want these four little girls seeing me, who will be their first example of what a man is, treating women like this.
Right,
You
right.
know, I think like you can actually see the work that he put in. Like he became a coach of little girls basketball team.
He did.
He was one of the first NBA players at like actively supporting the WNBA. Like you would see him and I guess him and Gigi courtside at the games rocking WNBA gear. Like no, he did that before, and he had like I guess he made it popular for other players to do it. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he made it a point to support women. I guess I'll go as far to say that he actually he worked at healing the way he interacted and treated women, and you can't do that by accident. You can't fall into that. You can't back into that. Like that was
No,
definitely that was a conscious decision because he
absolutely.
could have just stay out of trouble, but just been just go play basketball, go home. But he did this kind of publicly, and he made it clear like this is what I want to be remembered as. And I'm not saying we don't forget '03, but that's not where the story ends. I don't even think that's like the most important chapter, because for the next 17 years, like this is what he did, and
Right.
he didn't run from what he did, but he also said, hey, if you want to tell a story, tell the whole story. And,
Right.
and so like that. So I look at that, and maybe I judge celebrities through that lens. It may be harsh, but at the same time, I say, listen, you can put in the work. Like it's not fun, it's not easy, but here we have one of the most famous, iconic people putting in the work.
Right.
Um, no one's saying you have to like be an advocate for women's rights, although it would be nice. Definitely be nice, but maybe just keep your hands to yourself a little bit. I don't know. Like, like there's a spectrum there. Find a spot on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely can agree with that.
somewhere between keeping your hands to yourself and being a full blown advocate. Like, I have to assume there's a happy spot for you. So like that's kind of where I am with Chris Brown in particular, because it's like you're right. He's definitely had some trauma. I think it was just him and his mom. I forget if his mom was a single mom, but he definitely
Mm-hmm.
had experience with violence in the home.
Yep. He did.
I am going to guess that there has been little to no therapy for that particular
I'm
issue,
sure.
which will
Yeah, I'm sure.
probably explain some of this behavior, if not most of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, like you know, at a certain point, you have to take accountability for who you are, and you know, however that may look, whether it's changing the people around you, because that I think that can play an issue if you surround yourself with a lot of yes people, or
Sure.
people who are more concerned about the bag than doing the right thing.
Mm.
You know, and you also gotta want it. Like you gotta want to be better. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think owning it is like a big thing, because I think part of the reason why we have so many problematic celebrities is because they have yes men people around them. So I think that's a commonality that they all share, is that, and I guess it's because once people, money seems to change people, money and notoriety and things seem to change some people. And even the people that are around them, once they become part of their camp or what have you, and they start to get all those benefits and things, they understand that if you say no, perhaps you will no longer receive said benefits and things. And so then people start to weigh it and say, okay, so do I want, I like the notoriety. I like the money that I'm getting, because they get, these people, they get some good perks. I mean, if you're with some of these celebrities with all this money, they get some really good perks. And I think that that's why so many of them are just like, they just not condone, but they look the other way when they misbehave and they do things that maybe they don't even agree with, but they know that if they say something, there's a problem. I mean, that's a problem that, man, that goes all the way up to the White House. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna leave that there. I mean, I think that's what happened. I think that happens in general. People don't always agree, but they feel like they can't say anything against it.
yeah, very, very much true. And we definitely need to be better.
Mm-hmm. Almost, I mean, think about it. Almost any of those stories you can think of, right? There's always people, no one operates by themselves. There is always a team, right? It doesn't matter what the forum is. When we go to work, right? So we have a team. There's always a team of people that work together, right? To reach whatever goal it is. So these people, they have people around them that are help, whatever it is that they're doing, there's people around them that help them do those things, good or bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's yeah, and it's sad that is the case. Because I mean, no one, I can't even talk. Nobody wants to be told no. It's not, it's not fun. Uh,
Right.
yeah, but it's like you need at least one person to keep you in check, and it's hard, particularly when you're a celebrity, particularly when you have, you're an influential slash powerful celebrity. How do you tell that person no? Um, but like the risk or the downside is that at a certain point that person started drinking their own Kool-Aid and thinking that they really are untouchable, that the rules don't apply to them, and even if they do get in trouble, it'll just be a slap on their wrist. Meanwhile, there's actual real damage done to others, and maybe they'll never know because they're so far so high up socially, economically, or whatever. But there's real damage, and we don't ask about the people who have been hurt because
No.
they're not they're not part of the story, but
No,
they're
they're,
there.
you know what? You know what's funny? The only part of the story they are is so that you can know whatever it is that said individual did, right? So that's the only importance that they serve in the stories, so that you can know that this person did X, Y, and Z, but no one checks on those people after that. They'll tell you the story and what happened to them, but you're right, they don't get, there's no aftercare, there's no follow up, there's really not even empathy. Sometimes there's even backlash against those other people. Sometimes if you are the person who calls a celebrity out on their wrongdoing, you now get a whole lot of backlash for doing so. We've seen that happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just another person, because they have their fan bases and they have people that support them. And so sometimes they just turn a blind eye to everything, which is amazing to me that people are able to do that, but it happens often.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't get that, and I know it's multi-layered, because I find myself doing certain things, weighing a celebrity or a product, when you find, particularly with products, when you find out like the company has done something, not done something, said something and not said something, and like you have that internal battle of do you do you still support, do you still consume,
Yeah.
and it's also hard because it's like if you look at, I don't know, 85% of companies, you said it before, just about every celebrity has some sort of skeleton in the closet. Like at what point, do you at what point do you just say, F them all? And can you? Like you can't.
Yeah. Can you?
Like, can
It
you?
was a
Because
big question, right? Because
yeah,
think about it, if you do that, what resources do you have in all different aspects of your life? If you cut off the companies and celebrities and different things because of the types of things we're talking about, I'm afraid to say it, but I think we might be left with almost nothing. Yeah, I mean, I don't, because if you think about it, it's especially in the last 5 to 10 years, we have heard lots of things about lots of people and lots of companies that we probably were not aware of before. It was existent, but we didn't know. And so, and the funny thing is, I don't think a lot has changed for a lot of those companies and things, even though we have found out a lot of things about them, companies, people, and why is that?
yeah, because they know that ultimately we ain't gonna leave, particularly if they're large enough and they're excuse me, they've essentially stifled all or most of the competition. Um, you know, Amazon know that we ain't going nowhere.
They know that.
They know
Where are
that.
we going?
Yeah, they don't bought everything. Like
Yeah.
it's even they have like, and if you don't, if you don't go to Amazon, you're gonna go somewhere that Amazon owns. Whole
Yes,
Foods, Barnes and Noble, like Starbucks.
you are. Yes, you are. So it doesn't matter because it's
It,
still
it,
them.
yeah. Now
Yeah.
every now and then though, a company will learns, that learns that there's some consequences. I'm looking at you, Target.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know,
hmm. Yeah.
but unfortunately, that's proven too often to be the exception, not the rule.
Right.
Um, so again, the question is like, where can we really cut off these companies and celebrities? It's probably it may be easier to cut off celebrities, but I don't know. I don't
Yeah. I
know.
mean, I think it probably in the long run. I mean, overall, yeah, you could cut a celebrity off before you can cut off Amazon for sure, because Amazon has become like the backbone of everyone's existence. You, I think when I think about when I think about Chris Brown, I think for me, the first thing I think about when I think of Chris Brown is actually not the drama that surrounds him. I think about his music. Um, because that's what I like. I like his music. I think he's incredibly talented. I haven't seen anybody else that's doing what he does as far as being just a full package. So that's why it's so sad that for me, that there's all that negativity that comes along with it, because he's really talented. He's a black man, so I always try to support my own, but I think he sings, he dances, he writes, he produces, he draws. Um, I think he takes pictures. I think he just does so many different things. And that's the Chris Brown that I like.
Yeah, I can see that, and you're right. Like, he does all those things. And you kind of, listening to you say that, I think, uh, for me, and this goes beyond Chris Brown. But since we're talking about him, I think, um, I I'm always saddened when you have people who are that talented or talented in general, but it also seems like for whatever reason they can't get out of their own way. And sometimes I'm not gonna go so far as to say that Chris Brown is like he's doing anything maliciously, because there are just some bad people out there. There's some people who just don't give a damn. But I think with Chris Brown, I think a lot of it has to be, or a lot of it has to do with just him not being able to get out of his own way. And it may, again, it may be just the people that he surrounds himself with. He's still fairly young. Like, I forget that he's what, early 30s, mid 30s, maybe. So there's
36.
yeah, so there's still you know still a lot that he hasn't learned yet. He's been in the public eye since he was a teenager.
Yeah, he's 50.
So there's just some things that you're not going to learn by being one of us normies. So it's
Correct.
just
Correct. Because
yeah.
their life is different. They don't
This,
live. They
so,
don't live in the real world.
yeah, that's just it. Totally different world. Like, everything you want is pretty much given to you. So and like I said before, like, where's that one person to say, hey, this might not be the look. I don't know if that person exists. But hopefully, we'll see some growth from Breezy. Um, there's other issues. I don't. this is not going to be a pile on Breezy episode. I think we
No, we ain't gonna pile on you.
we ain't gonna
Listen,
pile on Breezy.
we ain't piling on you, Breezy, and I'm about to be up in them seats when you and Usher are on tour. So trust me, I got my tickets. So I'll see you soon.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, so like I said, there's everybody has issues, but I think that is enough for Mr. Brown. Again, very extremely talented, man. So hopefully the other stuff can kind of get sorted out. One person though that I find infuriating because she is so talented is Miss Doja Cat, and I want to root so hard for Doja Cat because she is so damn talented. Like I try to root for all my black women because yeah, I've been through it for the last I don't know forever. So I try to like, just not long, just forever, just
You into existence?
yeah, about 5 minutes after y'all created, it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's fuck with
Yeah.
him. So,
Yeah. Something
so
small.
some small, I try to, I'm more inclined to give black women the benefit of the doubt, and I am unapologetic about that. I'll just say that. I think they've earned it.
You don't get it often.
So, uh, yeah, I'm more inclined to do that. But when I do that, and
And you get this.
and then you get this, it's it's annoying.
Yeah, for sure. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I it's a couple of things, but they're kind of intertwined. It's like I feel sometimes that based on her actions and kind of based on how she looks now, I when I look at Doja Cat, I get the sense of a person who isn't really comfortable with the fact that she's a part black. And this kind of speaks to a larger discussion of her and sometimes other mixed or multiracial artists. They like to perform blackness when it's profitable, but they diss themselves when it becomes socially inconvenient. And as a black person, I can tell you that that's a no go for me. Like,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I don't get that choice. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
I can't do that.
You live it every day. You live it every day. You don't, but so being a person that has a multicultural background, I will say that I think it's strange to not embrace every part of your identity. I don't understand how you can pick and choose what part of what made you who you are to accept. Like your mother's your mother, your father's your father, right? That's that. Whether you care for either or, whether you take issue with whatever their ethnicity is, it doesn't matter. It still is what it is, right? You still came from what you came from. So I've always been puzzled by people who identify with one part of what they come from and not another. And what makes you want to do so? What makes you want to shy away from the part that you're shying away from? What is it? Because I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I it boggles the mind. And I'm not one of those. I'm not saying that you definitely have to choose one or the other, but it seems like it seems like the black part for some reason always is always the one that gets the short end
That's
of the stick.
the one behind.
That's what,
That's
yeah,
the one that gets pushed down here, right?
yeah, like that's and it's like this is no other way to say it. It's always the black side that gets overlooked or exploited, or when it gets performed when it's convenient. But the other sides, hey, it's all good,
Yep.
and it hurts. It's hurtful. And I don't know. Again, I don't know Doja, but that's been a criticism of her, and her reactions to that, or response to that, um, doesn't help. it doesn't help. Um, there was a I don't know to what extent it was proven, but I guess there was an accusation that she was spent some time in certain chat rooms that were anti-black, to put it nicely.
There is shadow of that.
Yeah. Not, not only spent time but actually interacted with these people. And it's just like, is that, to what extent is that a mistake? To what extent is that just you? She did acknowledge that she shouldn't have been in those rooms, but it's like, uh, why you're there in the first place? Like, I get that you're half white, but I feel there are other places that you can be half white in. I don't know. Like,
The real gag is though, listen, the real gag is you're in them rooms and they don't really want your ass in there anyway.
exactly. They don't want.
That's the real gag. You're in there and they're like, we don't want you either.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't count.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
that's just that gets me as well. It's like, not just her, but when you see black people, whether they're mixed or not, like essentially throw us under the bus,
Yeah.
to curry favor with white folks, or proximity to whiteness, and they learn very quickly they don't want your ass either.
They don't want your ass.
Like, they just want a mouthpiece to be able to say whatever it is they want to say, but they don't want you.
Absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
always hilarious when, like, you see it actually dawn on them
Yeah.
that this happened, and then you also see about 5 seconds after that they realize that they can't come home. Like, you can't come home.
You're not wanted.
Yeah, Candace Owens is finding that out.
Yes.
Like,
she is. And it's funny you bring her up because I feel like she is an example of someone who has come to that realization, and she seems to have maybe tried to make a bit of a turn because she's understanding, but too little too late.
She did an entire shift.
Yeah. The last time I saw her, I saw a clip of her on social media, right? And it's fun now, and I know who she is because I've been seeing her. How can you not know her from all the mess she was in, right? But I saw this clip of her like not that long ago, and I had to go back and look. I said, is that really her? Because I couldn't believe what she was saying. It was a totally different person. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, I must have missed the part where the light bulb came on for her.
Oh yeah. It was yeah. I'm happy to say that she's not getting nearly as much traction on that as she thought she would. But even with that, I think the reason that she even tried is because she knows, and this is true to an extent, that as much as I said, you can't come home, we are very forgiving as a people. Yes. Like,
I think so.
We are, because like, ultimately, like, we want people to be happy, be safe, all the good things, because we know what it's like not to have those things. So we never want to be the ones excluding people, because we've been excluded for hundreds of years, and
Right.
unfortunately people know that, and people play off of that, and people exploit that. Um, but I'm happy to say not this time. In this case, I
No,
I I am so happy, because particularly in this in these times, like you just can't take some of the positions and say some of the things that you said about black people specifically, and then just come home when these people show you exactly who we told you they were 10, 15 years ago. Like, just now that you no longer have their protection, which you never really had, you were just convenient for them. But now that that's
correct.
gone, now that your usefulness has been used up, trying to come back here, and like, no, 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 sweetie.
No, we don't want
Um,
you.
yeah. So
Sorry.
yeah, like
Not
I
sorry.
will, and not at all. And like I'm out here in these social media streets, but I typically stay away from a lot of the political stuff, unless it's very, very obvious. But like, the one time I commented on like something having to do with Candace Owens, and it actually wasn't even about her. I think there was some racist talking about how black people are XYZ, and then like somebody commented, under the video, "This is the white Candace Owens," um, and I commented, "I thought Candace Owens was the white Candace Owens." I never got so many likes on a comment in my life.
That is so funny. Yeah, yeah,
Like, what you mean?
yeah. That's what I thought.
That's what like. Yeah. What have you been watching the last 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, because this, she's a great example.
Yeah.
She is a great example
Yeah.
for
But it's
sure.
like, it. I don't know if it necessarily fits her, but it just sometimes it's apparent that some of us just aren't comfortable being in this skin, and I was like, hey, like, you're in it. There's very little there's very little that you can do about it. Um, and it all like it's kind of got to be, but I will.
You know,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
what do you think? I have my own opinion, but because you made that statement, I'm going to ask you, what do you think some of the origins of people being uncomfortable in their skin? Where do you think some of that comes from?
For me, I think it's multi-layered, just because I've seen it happen in different ways. Like, it doesn't happen all in one way. So
Yep.
like for example, if you're a very darker skinned person,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you know, and that can go different ways. Like, you could be teased for being a dark skinned person. So you grow
Right.
up thinking of something's wrong with being dark skinned. So you don't like
Mm-hmm.
dark skinned. You don't date dark skinned men or women, even though you are dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, growing up dark skinned, your parents may have like internalized anti-blackness, because for centuries darker skinned people were treated and interacted with differently. They like, people thought that we were dark because we were dirty.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Uh-huh.
even though black people are the ones who taught other people how to wash their ass, we're the ones who were dirty.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
just stupid shit. It's just like, but
Yep. I agree.
yeah, yeah. I'm dirty, but my people taught you how to wash your legs. Okay,
Yes.
make that make sense.
Yeah.
You know, you know,
That's them
I,
at.
yeah. We use washcloths. Someone said washcloths are poor people behavior, and I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Poor
Um,
people behavior. That's a good one.
Yeah. I'll give you one guess what color that person was.
Of course. It's the same people that say you don't have to wash your legs.
Yeah, or white.
Or
So
white.
or white.
Or you don't have to shower except maybe 2, 3 times a week, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's all those things, It's all those things for me. Okay. I was
You
just
wanna?
wondering because I know there's a lot of people that are like, I feel like it's multi-layered too. And I do, and I was wondering if you were going to say about like some of it comes from when you're growing up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely wanna. I wanna answer this question as fully as possible because it's a
Yeah.
damn good question. So definitely, um, growing up darker skin, and like I said before, that there's multiple branches that can take because growing up as a dark skinned boy, growing up as a dark skinned woman, there's just like, you get it on both sides.
Yep.
Darker skinned women for the longest time weren't seen as beautiful. They were seen as like the
Right.
lowest of the low. And
Right.
then even when, if someone did somehow find themselves attracted to you, was it a fetish? So
Mhm.
do they claim you publicly? Someone
Right.
who always has dated lighter skinned women publicly, but with you, nobody knows. You know, and it's not just just existing as a darker skinned. Still talking about women, but uh, trying to find products for you. Be it hair, skin, what have you. They're not. It's relatively recent that you
Yes.
have really any sort of products that are specifically geared towards darker skinned women, like band-aids. They're all. I'm wearing a band-aid now, but how? What was it? Maybe not even 10 years ago, where you had like skin tone band-aids, and it actually
Right.
went darker.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the world went crazy with Fenty, and they had the different tones of undergarments. But it's
Right.
like darker skinned women have existed for centuries, thousands of years,
Yes.
and it's like
Yes.
it
Yes.
is like we just like
Yeah.
y'all just
It just
realized,
clicked. Yeah.
hey, maybe
It just clicked.
they might want some skin tone.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like just trying to exist as a darker skinned person, woman or man is hard. On the male side, growing up darker skinned, getting called ashy because ash tends to be a little bit more visible until you're
Right.
darker.
Right.
You
Uh-huh.
know, being teased about that. Being teased about women. If you grew up in the '80s like I did, being on you were on the wrong side of that whole I'll be sure craze because everybody wanted to make okay. Okay. You ain't gonna sit there and tell me when Night and Day came out, everybody wanted a little light skin.
Oh
So
no, Al had
listen,
it on lock. He
I'll
had
be
it
sure.
on lock.
Yeah, okay. Uh, The only thing that saved us was Wesley Snipes for a little bit.
What
For a
he,
little
he
bit.
he came in and gave a little something. He did. He
Real
did because
talk, okay?
B was on it. Al B was definitely doing it.
Yeah, but I wish I came out and I was like, oh, then Christopher Williams came out and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
y'all just
I was about to say, don't forget about Williams.
yeah, man, for a good 3-4 years, the Alaskans had their foot in our necks, man. It's
Yeah, they
crazy.
did. They did. They did. They were there. They were going crazy. They were going
So
crazy.
like, you know, but you see this, and depending on how old you are, you internalize this, and you just even if you don't know how to articulate it, you just realize inherently that darker is bad.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right. Right.
and you just align yourself with that thought process, and it takes you through life.
Mm-hmm.
And it can manifest in different ways. It can manifest in the people that you date. It can manifest, where you live, who you interact with.
Sure.
Um, Sometimes you end up as a Supreme Court judge who very clearly doesn't like black people, even though he is black.
Yeah, yeah. You end up being one of those.
Sometimes you end up being one of those. Sometimes you end up railing against affirmative action, even though you are a beneficiary of affirmative action. So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
manifests in different ways. Like
It does. It does.
you know, but also it can also come from how and where you were raised. Like if you were raised in a predominantly white setting and you had very little interaction with black people, or your only interaction of black people was MTV and BET or the nightly news, where every time it showed a black person, it was as a mugshot. Yeah, you might be inclined to think that black people are just inherently more dangerous criminals and whatnot.
Right.
Um, it's weird to me because I also assume that you have mirrors in your house. So when you talk about black people, I don't know who you're talking to, talking about.
Right.
Because you hear them, they say these things like, black people are X, Y, Z, and it's like, you don't have mirrors in your house.
Unless you're a vampire, I mean, something's not right.
Yeah, like, you talking about you, homie. But it's true to an extent. Like you can kind of tell when someone's been raised, around black people versus around white people. I've been looking back now. I've been very fortunate to have been raised around, went to school with, dealt with, interacted with black people really my entire life. Even from preschool, kindergarten, school, middle school, high school, and again, growing up, and I'm fortunate because growing up in Queens, there's it's a melting pot, so you're dealing with a lot of minorities. So I was fortunate to deal with a lot of people from different cultures and a heavy dose of black people, because you see very very early that we really live in two different worlds, and you have to
Right.
be good at navigating both. I'm looking back now. I'm definitely grateful that I didn't go to an HBCU, but I'd be damned if my college wasn't black.
I know that's right.
Like my campus, there was so many black people there, so many black women there. Um, Only thing I wish is that there was more black. I wish that there were more black men at the end of the journey.
Okay.
Because there were quite a few of us that started, but there are a lot of black women that started and a lot of black women that finished. Wasn't the same for the brothers, and we can talk about that, the reasons behind that on a different episode, because I think that's definitely a discussion worth having. But yeah, I've been fortunate to be around black folks all my life, and I would not change that for the world. But yeah, how and where you're raised can definitely have that effect. And I think I don't know if it's I don't want to say blame, but I think sometimes black parents, like we said it, I said it before. Sometimes they're so focused on giving their children everything they didn't have, they forget to give them things that they did have. So, example, you didn't grow up in the best neighborhood, you grew up in the projects or whatever. But as soon as you're able to make it out and have kids, and as soon as you're able to move to a different place or better place, you take it, which is what you're supposed to do. The issue might be is that place you live is 97% white, and I assume that you're not taking field trips every other weekend back to the hood, so that that life or that part of your life is gone. But there's also like that part where that made you, and where you learn things, not just about life, but about the people. So now,
everything. It's a culture. It's the culture.
Yeah, it's a culture, and it's like your kids only interaction with black people, like I said before, it's like on TV. more the news. I mean, maybe that one black person that goes to their school that's weird as fuck, or or gets bullied because they like anime, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So like that it matters, and I don't know. I don't know what the trade off there is, because I would probably do something similar, if I'm being honest. But I also like to think that I would try to keep the boys with some culture, because I'll be damned if you gonna come up in my house talking like Carlton from Fresh Prince, okay?
Yeah.
Like we, he was alright in the end. Like he was just as formidable as well, but it's like, uh, it's like I don't know. But I think that's kind of those are kind of two places, amongst others, where that sort of anti-black behavior and mindset comes from. And it's tough because both of those start young.
Yep.
Start very early, and like just
That's why I asked the
so
question.
yeah. So it's like how it's it's different from, I don't know, an adult walking down the street, at whatever time, getting robbed by a black person. Now they're afraid of black people. That
Right.
happens.
Right. That
But
happened.
like those two examples, like this is part of what makes you you. And it's like, I don't know how you change that. But it, it ain't good. It really isn't. That was a dope question. I appreciate that,
Mhm.
because it definitely, you know it definitely is a conversation that's beyond Doja Cat. Um, but yeah, it's just like it for me. It's always a little sad when I see someone who just appears not to be comfortable, in their own skin,
Yeah.
or they like all the good parts about our culture, but they don't want to be a part of it. Um, like I think Paul Williams said it best. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. And it's like,
Ain't that the truth? Yep.
it's like,
That part.
yeah,
That
it's
part. Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, Doja. You can get as thin as you want to get. We see that ass. Like you ain't. We know where you got it from. Like it's just like,
What's funny though, then on the same token, right? She will talk about it though. She'll talk about, I mean, that's one of the things that she'll talk about. Oh, I still, lost weight, but still got this ass, whatever she's saying. I don't really, I don't know all of her songs like that, but she still talks about it. And I think when she first started out, before she went really where she's at now, the whole song she talked about, basically, that's what she was talking about. Was her ass. That's what the song is about. So it's funny, that's why I was kind of surprised, because that's when she first came out. I was like, okay, because the song was catchy. And then she got big. And then I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened once she got really famous. And then all of a sudden it was just a lot of strange stuff, and my daughter says she won't listen to her. There's a couple songs of her she won't listen to because she said something about devil worshiping. I said, okay, so now you're getting way beyond me. Devil worshiping, like, I was on the other part, the stuff that we're talking about, but my daughter had mentioned that to me because I told her, I was like, yeah, we're going to be talking about her, and she's like, oh, yeah, I don't mess with her because they say she worships the devil. I said, when did that come about?
yeah, I don't know if that's 100% accurate. There's definitely a couple, at least one or two videos where, yeah, there's like that. There is like devil imagery. Um, but I would probably chalk that up to just her being different, which I can say about a lot of artists. I
I
think
was
a
going to
lot
say
of,
artistry, right?
yeah, that's just that's where it takes you. It can take you to extreme places, or what we see as extreme places, or not. Like Janet Jackson is different. She ain't like, I don't. You really can't fit her perfectly into like any particular genre. Like she give
No.
it she give it all to you.
Yeah,
And
she was.
that's that's what makes her her.
Yeah.
Prince is the same way. Lenny Kravitz is the same way. Although with Lenny, I think he complained that he don't get a lot of love from black people, and I'm like, well, that's because you don't got a lot of love from black people. Like it goes both ways. He
You
went,
can't get love if you don't give love.
yeah, because I think that was the response. It was like you spent most of your time in this particular area
Yeah.
that historically, notoriously, isn't very welcoming to us.
Right.
And you did your thing. Like we love that for you.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
you
You know
know,
what you support.
yeah, do you? But you were very comfortable there, which again is fine. But we're still taking shots over here, and it's like we don't see you saying, "Hey," at least saying, "Hey, let's not do this," or even, I don't even know if he was like, "Okay, here, I opened the door. Why don't I come in?" Like I don't even know if that happened.
I'm
It's
not
just
sure if that took place either. I
yeah.
don't.
So it's like you know for the longest time, you didn't you didn't, I guess, market yourself or present yourself as a black artist, and not saying you have to say it with your chest, but it's funny it's funny when people become black when they gotta become black. I guess that's how I'll say it. Because it was never an issue before, but now that you realize you ain't getting the love, now you're black. Okay,
Right.
okay,
Right.
so yeah, but I think that also applies to Doja as well because like even, or rather, I'm trying to say, I think certain aspects of her creativity, kind of how you mentioned, I think would probably be more acceptable or at least less controversial, um, if she wasn't spending so much time in spaces where anti-black activity, anti-black behavior was so common. I
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think the combination of those two, it's a bad look. And then also, let's say she is into devil worship. Ain't too many black people into devil worship that I can think of. Not saying that there aren't any, but you just, if I said, Shay, this person's into devil worship, what would you envision? Like
Because
you,
I don't know.
like you,
Yeah, I'm
it,
not sure. That's why when my daughter said, I was
yeah,
like, yeah, so I don't. I mean, what is that? So what does she do? What does that mean? I'm not sure. What is
yeah,
that
yeah,
exactly?
yeah. But if I ask you, like, what do you think a devil worship look like it would. It ain't no niggas. Like,
No, it ain't gonna look like us. It ain't gonna look
like,
like her or me or or you for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
no,
so it's like the combination of that and then spending time where in spaces where that are just anti-black spaces.
right, right. It
It
just
just
it seems like a lot of that, but that just seems to me like a person who just doesn't love themselves.
yeah,
You know, just in
hmm
general.
yeah. And I can also say, or you can also say, part of it probably has to do with her parents. I don't think she's on the best terms with her dad,
Oh,
um, who is black, I believe. So
okay.
again, that may or may not explain some things.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think so, for
yeah,
sure.
I think
For sure.
particularly with the stereotype of absent black father. I think that can definitely uh affect you growing up.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, at
Absolutely.
at the same time, you could also be president of the U.S. So like I said, it can go
Well,
multiple ways.
that's true.
I just
That is true. That's true. And, I think one of the things about fame, notoriety, celebrity, or, however you want to box it, I think what happens is that one of the reasons why it's not meant for everyone is because if you have, any self-doubt or you have any insecurities or anything, it seems to ostracize them, which is, it's funny because I think when people chase fame and notoriety, right, they feel like whatever these insecurities or shortcomings or whatever, however they feel that they have are going to be solved, right, by fame and notoriety and money and things. And often what you see is that even if it seems like they kind of forget about it maybe in the beginning, because I imagine in the beginning of a career that is becoming extremely successful, you forget everything, right? Because you're so happy and engrossed in what's happening. But then what happens is it comes right back, just like everything else. Because if something doesn't go away, if you don't deal with something, it stays. And so then you see these people, because they say, how come they have all this money and they have all these problems, or they act like this, or they do this and that? Because they still have the same problems that they had beforehand. And sometimes they just come back, and maybe sometimes they come back with vengeance.
That part. That's exactly it. You know, in some ways, I think fame is like a drug, and with a lot of drugs, they don't cause problems; they reveal problems. And I think that's something that we, both people who use it and people who don't realize, is that they reveal your problems. And kind of how you said before, if you haven't addressed them and haven't been addressing them, and just thinking that this thing is going to absolve all your problems, you're in for a rude awakening. And so
Yes,
sometimes it's just like adding gas to a fire. Putting, you have the same problems, but now they just want steroids. You know,
correct.
and,
Correct.
and it's like, you know, the the worst part or the bad part is that you're now, older, and you're an adult. You've never dealt with these issues, and you don't know how to deal with these
Correct.
issues. And oh, by the way, you don't really have time because you're popular, and you're busy because you touring all over the world. Like,
Correct.
when you get time for a therapy session, when you
Well, yeah.
when you try,
And do
when you
you
try.
and then add another layer, right? Because do you want to do therapy now that you're famous, and do you want people to know that you're going into therapy, right? Because then there's a negative connotation that comes with that sometimes, right? And so sometimes I think they even might avoid it, even if they
Correct.
could. I think maybe they just don't, because they're like, I don't want people thinking something's wrong with me or knowing something is wrong with me, because they have a persona now, right? That you have to protect, and they become like a caricature. Like, is Chris Brown really still Chris Brown? Is Doja Cat? I don't know what her real name is. You know what I mean? She's not whatever her real name is, right? So that's not who you are now. Now you have gone into this caricature of Doja Cat, and that's who you have to be all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they get very caught up in those things too, So, and I think that might prevent them maybe from wanting to get help, because the world is a cruel place. They like to ostracize people,
Mm-hmm.
when you're vulnerable.
Yeah. And I think, you know, on the other end of that is sometimes people use those issues or problems as kind of a shield. Um, Kanye,
Oh,
Kanye West would be an example.
yeah.
Every time you get in trouble, um,
Bipolar.
bipolar. I was about to say autistic. But yeah, bipolar. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the go-to excuse every time he said something stupid. And
Absolutely.
it's like, okay, cool. You're bipolar, but a lot of there are a lot of bipolar people who don't wear White Lives Matter T-shirts and don't
No,
do any of the things that you do. It's weird that these billions of people somehow survive and get by without doing any of these atrocious things.
correct.
So so like at what point are you just an asshole?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah,
it, it,
yeah, yeah.
it's you know kind of, I guess, taking a tangent here, but it's a very good one. You know, mental health is very important, and I'm happy that as a society we have a lot of work to do, but we definitely are more accepting of the fact that mental health is health and it needs to be taken care of just like any other part of your health. I think a lot of it has to do with just different generations. You know, we, you know, we are, I guess are kind of more inclined to take that into account versus parents and grandparents, or people just walk it off, rub some dirt on it, and keep it moving. So it's
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'm happy that we've um, gotten to that place. But I was having a discussion with somebody because somebody did. I think it was Kanye, where he said or did something idiotic, and the first thing that's like someone's a knee jerk reaction is to say, "Oh, he has mental illness. He's mentally ill." And they started explaining all the things, and I'm like, "What about asshole? Like, why can't you just be an asshole? Like, why is that impossible? Like, yeah, he can be bipolar, but why can't he also be an asshole? Because you know what we're also saying is that in a way is that no matter what he did, being bipolar is somehow worse. And I tend to think that the people in that community might have a problem with that.
Right.
Because like I said before, there are millions of bipolar people, millions of people with mental illnesses who don't do these things.
Correct.
So yeah, hope he gets the help that he needs, but I also hope he can just stop being an asshole, because that will go a long way.
Yeah.
I think that would probably go further than him being bipolar.
I was about to say, I think if sometimes people just learn not to be an asshole, they'll be much better off than even if they try to do anything. Someone like him really just learn how to function in society, and just learn that you just don't say every damn thing you want whenever you want to say it. And you're a big celebrity, so some of the things you say, you just got to be careful with what's coming out of your mouth. I mean, it's real simple. No pill. There's no pill for that, by the way, folks. Yeah, there's no pill for you just being, using your brain, right? Having some common sense before you say and do things. And I agree with you. I think that I have, being a healthcare professional, I have very mixed feelings when it comes to mental health, because I might have said this before, but I feel like as a whole, people lack coping skills. And I think the lack of coping skills and tools, maybe not instilled in people from childhood, um, just manifests into people saying everything is a mental health issue, but it's not, because life is always going to be life. It's always been life, right? And so there are certain things and aspects that come along with life that don't, when they happen to you, doesn't mean you have mental illness. So that's where it gets very gray, because there are some things that are just what you have to deal with in life. And then there's other times when it is a clear mental illness issue. So I feel like people need to get better. I'm glad that we recognize it, but I think that we now need to hone in on getting better at understanding when something is really mental illness and when something is just life or just the way someone is.
Yeah, 1,000% agree, and you're absolutely right. Like every obstacle isn't is a mental illness. Every bad thing that happens isn't mental illness. Hell, just because you're depressed today don't mean you're mentally doesn't mean you're clinically depressed. You just might be having a bad day.
You're
Um,
right. You
nuance is
can have a bad
nuance.
day.
Yeah, like people have bad days. Nuance is important. Context is important.
Yes,
Um, but like, yeah, but I mean, we also live in a society where those two things don't always exist. It's easier to group people or group ourselves into this thing, because it's easier to say I'm this or he's this or she's this
right.
than actually say, okay, to what extent are they this thing? Are you
Oh,
actually this thing?
correct.
It just could that involves thinking, and for some reason, I don't know. We just don't we don't like thinking, and I don't I don't know if it's just an American thing or if it's a people thing. Like
Hmm.
I don't think either one is good, but because we're American, you see this stuff in America. I don't see a lot of this, outside our borders. Not
You
saying
don't.
that it doesn't happen, but it's just
No, but I just don't think it's as prevalent. I agree with you on that. I don't think it's as prevalent, and that's why a lot of times you see other countries and people from other countries and things. They laugh, they laugh at us, or they say things. So they're like, what's up with y'all? Like, what goes on over in that country? So I mean, it happens everywhere, but I think you're right. I don't think it's as prevalent. Most things aren't as prevalent outside of this country.
now the cynic in me would also say that you kind of got to be mentally ill to be an American, because because you got, like, you know to live in a country where so many millions of people claim to want to protect women, but those same people voted for Agent Orange is interesting, to say the least. Like, to to celebrate July 4th when July 4th wasn't really meant for everybody. Like to you know
Right.
celebrate, to again, celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation, which I agree should be celebrated, but conveniently leave out the fact that we needed that Juneteenth is here for a reason. Like, like there's a reason why Juneteenth exists. You know,
And
we
to
talk
have some states say now that they don't want to recognize.
is that, yes, that, you know um the 13th Amendment,
Hmm.
that abolishes slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to read the fine print. So you
Right.
gotta be a little off. You got
Uh-huh.
you gotta be
Uh-huh.
a little off to
Yeah,
get,
yeah, yeah.
because I say these things, and again, I'm just saying, no matter of fact, because we all accept them. Like, we just
Right. Yeah,
we just accept them.
we do.
It's,
We do. And we just go on about
we
things
just go
like
up.
it's no big deal. Listen,
Yeah, just going about our day.
we go on about our day. You know what? I think that now we have like, so, there's like we always laugh in healthcare. If anybody's ever worked in ICU, right, or like a vent unit, anywhere where there's like patients that are going to be on vent, so there's going to be alarms, right? So we call it alarm fatigue, right? Because after a while, them damn alarms go off, you don't hear them. You could be sitting right there where it's going off, but you've gotten so accustomed to alarms going off all the time, it doesn't even bother you. You can just ignore it. And that's kind of how I feel. I feel like a lot of people are in this country. It's just like there's so many crazy things that have been happening. I think people are just like, they're just over it. I mean, something else happens and people kind of just look. I mean, even when I see when the TVs are on, even when I'm at work, and you just see people and they just look. They just have glazed looks over their eyes. It's like, I mean, because what else can we listen? What else can happen? I mean, now we're gonna give reparations to people who stormed the Capitol. So I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's like,
So we can do it.
so we can. Oh, no, no, we
So we can
can
do
do it,
it. We can do
but
it. Okay.
it's only for certain people. You
Okay.
understand? All right. So we can do it, but not for the right people, right? We're gonna give it to the
Mm.
folks that we feel like we should give it to. So it's funny when and it's. I guess you're right. I guess it's, you gotta be a little mentally ill to live in a country like this and be okay with it.
I mean, yeah, because you walk around this country and you listen to people and you hear them say things that is not. It just goes beyond being like opposite to or not in their own interest. Um, Example, there are a lot of you typically hear this from white women when this is said, but they'll say something to the effect of, in my opinion, I think we were all better off, when we in the 1940s and 1950s, and it's like cool. Only thing is that in the the 1940s and the 50s, in opinion, is one of the many things you wouldn't have.
Right.
But go off, Susan. Sure.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah. An opinion, checking account, being able to own, like, okay, cool.
Nothing.
And
Nothing.
it's just like the irony is just like it's lost on them, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because people don't read. I don't know if it's because people just look for information that they agree with or that agrees with or aligns with their own particular thoughts, no matter political, social, whatever. But it's shocking like how many people believe certain things that are just in direct opposition to their best interests, and that's why I say you got to be a little off to want to stay here, because this is like, huh? You're no matter how you feel about trans rights, you're you want to pass these laws to prevent trans people from using certain bathrooms because you're trying to protect women, even though women are more likely to be harmed by the people that they know as opposed to complete strangers. And when I say people that we know, I'm talking friends, family.
Yeah.
Dad, granddad, uncle, brother, like pastor, teacher. All the safe people in your lives are a lot more likely to attack these people. And oh, by the way, they have a lot more access. But yes, by all means, let's guard the bathrooms, because that's where that's where
the biggest threat is.
Correct. Let's just do that. It's weird. It's dangerous, and I don't know what the solution is. Well, I have one solution, but it takes a lot. It takes long. I think a big reason, why, as far as we have to go, we've come a long way. But as far as racial, tensions, but I think a big part of that is just because a lot of races died. Like, they just ain't here no more. That's just... like a lot. No, like a lot. Like, it's nice to say, you would want it to be a more active process.
Yeah.
But no, just a lot of people who had these thoughts just ain't here no more. And hey, it's definitely a good thing. But the reason I say that is because there are still people here who have those thoughts. So like, it's like,
yeah. We got a long way to go. I don't think any of those things will ever change. I mean, I think as long as there's human beings, we're gonna always have these things, because I always knew. I feel like human beings in general, that I've learned now over the last 10 years. The last 10 years have really been more of an eye opener. I never realized that people were so impressionable and so easily manipulated, even in the setting of the truth. I learned a lot about, and I'm talking about in the masses. You always see it in your everyday life. You'll come across someone who's like, okay, what's wrong with you? Like, you're delusional. You don't understand what's going on. But to realize that it happens in massive numbers the way that I've seen it, it's troubling. It's a little troubling. It's like, my gosh. Yeah, what do we have to look forward to? I don't know. I don't know in this country. I don't know how things will be. I don't know, because as much as things seem to be trying to be moved forward some years back, now I kind of feel like we're in a phase where we have some folks around that are maybe trying to go backwards again. And so it'll be interesting to see from all those aspects, even from, us getting along with each other amongst, ethnicities and things. I just am curious to see what's going to happen over the next 5 years.
Yeah, same here. And you're right. You said it very eloquently. I'm not as eloquent. They're just a lot of stupid people here, and there's just no other way to say it.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and I think, at least for me, it's because again, I think of how this came to be. Why are they like this? And they were kind of I'm wrestling with like two different schools of thought, because like the stupidity doesn't rest solely in either one. Like so, like on the one hand, you just have like less of a people give less of a damn about education and the importance of reading and knowing things. They're just not not as much not as much emphasis on being educated. And I'm not even saying like college, formally college, just educated.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be educated and not spend a day on campus, but
Right. Right.
just like basic stuff, you just refuse. It's like you take comfort in ignorance. You like and you double down whenever
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you'll say prove it and then double down saying it's fake.
Right.
And an example of course would be flat earthers. You know, just I don't think anything else has to be said.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have an idea on how to deal with them. Um, it would cost a lot of money, but my my idea would just be to simply send them into space. Just prove, prove once and for all that Earth is round, space exists, there's no ice wall. And let them see, let them report back what they see.
Sure.
I think that would be again very expensive. But I think that would once and for all solve this whole flat Earth thing. Now, you may have noticed that I didn't mention anything about returning to Earth, and that was on purpose because I also think that there has to be a penalty for being stupid. It's called the stupid tax. So we're gonna send you up.
And work it out from there.
That's it. We're gonna send you up.
Mm-hmm.
And as you run out of food and run out of air, you will realize that this belief that you held your entire life. This is where it got you. But you will go to wherever you believe in, knowing that Earth is round. So again, expensive, um, little extreme, but I think it'll work.
Yeah.
Second school of thought is that a lot of this ignorance is fueled in part by good old fashioned racism because racism racists are ignorant. Every act of every act of racism is an act of ignorance. And because again, there are some stupid black people, but it would appear that the loudest don't look like us, and it's you know it's really been proven throughout history that when if it comes down to it, um, white people will burn this country down rather than share it, and too many times that has been proven. You can look at any of the 100 massacres that have happened throughout our history. Not because we did anything to them, but because we actually didn't do anything. We actually we,
Right.
we built our own banks
Right.
and neighborhoods and cities, and white folks saw that and said, "Fuck no." Um, how many times have you seen legislation trying to get passed that it would affect white people, it would affect more white people negatively, but they're willing to accept that because it will affect black people.
Right.
How many times
Right.
have you seen that?
Yes.
Anything like people forget. Yeah, black people are affected disproportionately with a lot of things, but there are more white people that can be affected because there are more white people. Like,
Right.
like
Right.
people like yeah, like people forget those things. But you know, some it would have just appeared that some white people would rather everyone suffer than allow black people to thrive. Again, I was having a discussion with her friend because she's very vocal about these types of things, which I love. Um, and I offered a kind of a parallel to the Matrix. I think it was the Matrix Reloaded. I think it was like the second one where Neo meets the architect, the white
Yes.
dude, dude in a white suit,
Uh-huh.
and he's basically saying going over their plan, and and you know I think Neo essentially says that if you kill us, if you wipe out all the humans, you'll die too because the machines use humans as batteries. So, you're trying to kill us, but that
But you're
affects you.
yourself.
Yeah. This man looked Neo dead in his eyes and said, "There are levels of survival that we are prepared to accept." That's white people.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Mm.
And so yeah, so like I said, this the stupidity comes in this in two buckets. There may be more, but those are kind of the main things. This is a long way from Doja Cat, but
There was a clear map on how we got to where we are today. It was a tangent. This was a good one because we went right into it from what we were talking about. So it matters today. Yes. Yes.
it,
Yes.
it,
Yes.
it, it does because it all does connect.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, there's just this belief that you know whiteness is the standard, and you want to get as close to it as possible. Never mind all of the pay no attention to all these bodies. That this is where you want to be, and like I just can't rock with it because I just say like I don't think white people like have you ever seen a I don't know have you ever seen a happy white person? I haven't.
Thing, yeah, it's just like I don't think they like anybody. It's just like you just don't like anybody. No one. You don't like
No,
yourself.
yeah, like anytime I think of someone like expressing joy, it's always like it. And this is going to sound wrong, but like I've never pictured like a white person expressing joy when I think of somebody expressing joy, and I don't know why that is, but I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that if you've been oppressed for so long, um, you understand what joy is. I don't know.
Yeah.
That might be
Joy,
a
joy,
over.
yes.
Yeah, that might be an oversimplification. Um, but I also feel like that's also why um, you don't see a lot of black folk doing all these extreme activities. Um, I feel that slavery was enough. So if you've never been oppressed, and you never know what it's like to live kind of fear, then you don't know what that's like. So you need things to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
We got enough of that last 400 years. So
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need it.
but,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
I think people want you to, it's funny because you hear people all the time say about, you know, you should just forget this or that was this, oh, that was all these years ago and all that. And I always find that a strange thing to say to people because oppression is oppression. And it doesn't matter, I mean, so, you hear, what do Jewish people talk about? Right? Why do they talk about the Holocaust? Because it matters, right? Because that's a big, big part of their culture. People. There's something at Russia. I forget what it was, but there was like a big thing in Russia when they knocked down the wall or something. They talk about it. Like so, anytime something significant happens in a people's existence, you don't sweep it under the rug. You can't say to someone, you should forget that your past entails slavery. You just should forget that because you were never a slave. So what do you care about the fact that there was slavery? These are the kinds of comments that you'll hear people say, you was never a slave. So what do you care? That's ignorant.
yeah. And these same people that tell us to get over it and that it was so long ago are the same people that celebrate Memorial Day, celebrate all these celebrations and, well, not celebrations, but, events.
Correct.
Remembering like Pearl Harbor,
Mm-hmm.
it was so long ago. What, let it go.
Right.
But it's different. So they understand why folks remember, but it's always this one group with
Yes.
with this one thing that we
Correct.
forget. We don't get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can remember. We just don't want to. Also, like you mentioned, the Holocaust and Nazi Germany. A big reason folks, aren't, they remember it, but no one's. It's not a constant like just beating over the head of it. Is because Germany was very proactive in one, we're not doing this shit again. Two, it's like when that's how they be like, yo, we ain't doing this, and the people who did this are going to be held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we give them reparations. We had those
Yeah.
three things, and to this day, people are still, well, the ones that are alive, still being found out that they had anything to do with everything back in the 40s. Nah, homie, gotta come talk to you.
Yeah.
Like they're, because a lot of Nazis fled in different countries. Nah, homie, bring them back.
Yeah.
like they actually were proactive in correcting the mistakes,
Yeah.
which included punishing people.
Yeah.
Punishing Germans. These are not my words. These are, but it's been said many a time that probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest issue that this country has is that the South was not properly punished for slavery and the Civil War. And how would I know this? Is because the South lost the war, and all of these statues went up, which is weird because the South lost the war, and you typically don't create statues and monuments to losers of the war. Yeah, you just typically don't do that. You also, I mentioned the 13th Amendment earlier in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
You could have just said slavery was abolished and that'd be it. But that's not what it says. It says some other things. Go read the Constitution. Find out the entirety of what the 13th Amendment says. Uh, many people, instead of being punished, we're actually promoted. Essentially welcome in to an extent. I understand because you're trying to rebuild the country and you want healing and you want people. I guess bringing people back into the fold is a part of healing. I get that. I can accept that. What I can accept is bringing back people who, if they had it, if they had their way, would literally have their own country,
right,
and have an entire second class, not even second class citizens property. They would have
right,
people as property. Um, and then we just kind of welcome them back with not as much as a my bad.
right,
Like,
right. Yep.
like,
No, I'm 100%.
not only that, they actually had the nerve to have an attitude and say, "Hey, if you don't put this in, these amendments, we're not going to do it X, Y, Z." And it's like, motherfucker, you lost the war. Like, you have
Yeah,
no, but unfortunately, you know, unifying was more important than, or was the top priority, no matter how that looked. And unfortunately, like I said, the South was not punished to the extent that they should have been. And that, that unfortunately has a lot of historical consequences,
it does.
kind of like, when you have people working for free for centuries and you're getting wealth off of those people. That's a very big building of wealth and transfer of wealth. It's almost like having a 400-year head start
It sure
as far as
is.
building wealth. So it's kind of weird when you turn around and ask them why they can't do better. I don't know. I didn't have 400 years to get all this. Go figure. Um, but that's just the ramblings of a.
Or
Of
though, all facts, all facts,
a
all facts.
yeah, but I don't know. I guess I don't know what I hope for Doja Cat and people and folks who are not comfortable in their own skin. I don't know, because again, there are so many different reasons and so many ways that it manifests. But um, I just hope wherever they come out, they can come out without harming us. Like that would be appreciated. Like,
Yeah, yeah, we would be appreciative
yeah, like we get enough of that. You don't need it from our own people. So
for sure.
this was fun talking about celebrities and
I thought it would be, I thought it would be good. I don't. How do we come up with this? So, because we were talking about, we're like, hey, I think we were talking I think we were on a tangent on one of the other episodes,
yeah,
and
and
I
we're
think
like,
that's how we got here.
yeah, and we just started talking about certain celebrities that are, you know, we call them problematic, but it's rarely that simple. There's the other things, and it depends on kind of how you define problematic. Speaking of which, this is just the first kind of slice of the whole problematic celebrity series. So next episode, we're going to talk about another version of problematic behavior, but this one was centered more on just people whose behavior tends to affect and harm other people. Um, we had a third one. We may get into that next time,
Yeah,
but I'm hungry, and as we know, we end each episode when one of us is hungry.
for sure, for sure. It's time to something to eat. It's something to eat. Listen, I told you I didn't get to eat. I was hours, so my stomach has been growling on and off the whole time here. Because normally I try to get something early, but I told you I left early and sat in that daggone nail salon. So my stomach is feed me, feed me.
Yes.
So I'm
So,
ready to eat.
yep. Shay's ready to eat. I'm ready to eat. We gonna get up out of here. I don't have our usual closing, so I would just say, drink water, read books, and don't be racist. That's the that's the best thing I can tell you right now.
I like those.
So,
I like those. Yep. Yep. Drink your water. Mind the business that pays you.
yes,
I like it. This was fun. Thanks for hanging out with us. And yeah, tell us. I'd like to see what other people think about the folks that we discussed today. So I'm curious to see what kind of comments that we get, to see how other people, you know, interject and chime in on these people, because they seem to draw a lot of attention. So I'll be curious to see what you folks have to add to our conversation.
definitely. And let me know what the name of Doja's hive is, because we got cats, but
I
if
feel
they're
like
just
they're kittens.
kittens, yeah, the kittens.
I feel like you know what? Now that you know why I feel like they're kittens, because if I remember correctly, in one of her rants, she was like badgering her fans, saying that they shouldn't be calling themselves kittens. Like a few years ago, if I remember correctly. So I think they were calling themselves kittens. I'm almost positive.
Okay, yeah, let us know, because I'm curious now.
Yeah, if they're not, if y'all or they are not the kittens anymore, let us know. Let us know who you've become.
Okay. Hey, so I cheated. I asked Larry.
Okay. What are they? So when I said it earlier, right? I was really just joking.
You just spitballing.
Yeah, I really was. I really was. I
Here's
had no idea. I just was going off of her name. Yeah, there we go.
here. Look at that. See, that's why I be telling you, Shay, man, Shay be dropping science, just spitting and just
The kittens.
kittens
Okay.
with a Z at the end instead of an
With a
S
Z.
with a Z.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, the
I
kittens.
yeah. So we go. Let's do this real quick before we get up out of here. So Beyonce has the Beehive, Nicki Minaj has the Barbs, Megan Thee Stallion has the Heidi's, Chris Brown, Team Breezy,
Team
uh,
Breezy.
Taylor Swift obviously has the Swifties, and Rihanna
The
has the Navy. That makes
the
sense.
Navy. Yes.
Yeah, because I guess that was from Battleship. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so yeah, Doja Cat has the kittens.
As the kittens.
Shout out to Larry, man. Larry in the clutch. I like
Yo,
that.
let me tell you something. I tell you all the time, Sade is the same way. Well, when I started talking about, oh, we're gonna do this episode, and she's like, I have lots of ideas to talk about. The other person we were gonna talk about today, she's like, I got lots of things that you can say about her. I said, wow. She said research pulls up many, what did she call it? Many something. I forget the word she used, but basically she was saying that when you put her name in there, you get a plethora of things.
That's hilarious. Shout out to Sade and Larry. And just so you know, Sade and Larry are what we call ChatGPT. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, they can come through in the clutch. So that's how we're gonna leave it. We gotta figure it out what Doja's fan base is called, the kittens. Um, I actually was gonna say cows because she was like she made that song about I'm a cow. Which it would make sense to me.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I don't know that song.
yeah, it was like moo, I'm a cow. Um, and I say cows, but maybe heifers. But I think heifers is
Heifers?
heifers might be disrespectful. So I don't that might like I don't know if we still use heifer, but I also know that it's not a compliment. So
It's not a
it's
compliment.
not. But again, it fits because she made a song called "I'm a Cow." And she made a
So there you
video,
go.
and it rocked. So I don't know the heifers, but kittens works. I think it's safer. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Take the kittens. I mean, if y'all want to be kittens, be kittens.
yeah. So yeah. Let us know how you feel about this episode. What you like, what you didn't like. Keep it respectful. And as always, Orange and blue skies all day. Go Knicks.
Hey.
Argue with your pappy. I don't care.
Yeah.
We will see y'all next time.
We will see you.